All right. So here we are with Lesley Manville, who has worked with Mike Leigh more than any other actor. I understand it's like 30 years.
Yeah, it is. I've done 7 films with him, 9 projects in total. Yeah, it's 30 years.
And that includes stage work as well?
No, we haven't worked on stage. No, we did a radio play together. But 7 films.
And another year, you are Mary, the needy, some would say pathetic, overexcited, twice divorced, miserably unhappy perhaps, but hiding it behind a gay little front. Mary, that's her name. So it's a brilliant performance in a very complex woman, obviously. How did you see, and how did, with Mike's technique of doing improvisations, how did Mary develop? And is this your first starring role? We can go to that next, but start with Mary.
Well, I mean, like with all of his projects, you start with nothing. So there's no script, and he doesn't ring you up and say, would you like to come and play this lonely alcoholic? He just says, would you like to come and do my film? And that's as much as you get, and you either say yes or no. And then really, I mean, in a nutshell, because it would be a very long interview to talk about how it all comes together, but in a nutshell, he works one-to-one with all the actors, creates a character with them all. And then slowly, over a period of months, that character will develop. You really will create them from scratch, from birth, and give them a life and fill it out with their family and where they lived and what they did and how their life developed. And then eventually, further down the line, he'll start to put you with
other
characters, and you'll do some improvisations, and then you do some big improvisations, and then eventually, he'll start to distill all of that and create a drama and give it a narrative and and then we'll work with that as a kind of basis, but then still throughout the filming, we're kind of creating it as we go along.
So even though there's a script,
no, there isn't a script. We it's never written down for us.
Oh, okay.
We although eventually there is a script that's written down, obviously for technical reasons for the technical crew, but not for us.
Okay.
Should we close that door, maybe?
It's okay.
It's. But having said that, we're never improvising on camera. We know exactly what we're going to say when we're filming, but we've arrived at that
through all of the
improvisations that we've done. But I mean, because of the normal confines of filming, obviously you have to say the same thing each time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this the biggest role you've ever had with Mike Leigh?
Well, actually, it isn't. But I think it's the one that's going to bring
the most attention.
Bring me the most attention. I made a film with him in 2002, I think, or 2000, called Another Year. Oh, sorry, no, this is called Another Year. Called All or Nothing.
Yes.
Which concerned Tim Spall and I as a married couple with 2 children.
Living in the projects?
Pardon?
Were you living in they were poor people?
Yes, they were very poor, yes.
And did he drive a taxi?
Yes, that's right. I
Okay.
was the wife in that. And it was a great film, but we all feel it was like the one that got away. Critically, it did very well, but for some reason, the film, it just didn't happen for
Nobody went to see it, pretty much.
It kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't know why, but anyway, so I did have a big part in that. So this isn't the first time, but it feels like it's the first time, even though I've been working with him for so long. But I mean, parts like Mrs. Gilbert in Topsy Turvy and Letitia in High Hopes, they were significant parts, but they were films that were more perhaps ensemble, and you don't kind of notice one person so much,
Here the focus really becomes on this unhappy alcoholic, as
Mary,
you call it.
Yes. Although, again, this is an ensemble piece, but I think it's true to say that the emotional drive of the film becomes about Mary, yeah.
And what did you think of Mary, as the person who brought her to life and created her in a way?
Well, it's odd. I can only think about her objectively when I see the film in the end, because at the time I'm not really thinking about what I think of her, and I think that that's irrelevant really, because I'm just creating her and playing her. But when I watch it now with some distance between the time when I made it, I feel for her, because she's a really good person. She's a nice person. She wants to bring good things into the world. She's not malicious or nasty or evil or negative, but she's misguided and lonely. That's the big thing. She's lonely, and the bottle of drink is her friend.
Well, it's her friend because no one else seems to be able to take her. Did you get a sense watching it that people sort of want to run from the room by the end of the movie when Mary is coming around? And this is really the problem. And in a way, it's such a beautiful thing, because as you said, there's nothing malicious about Mary. No. It's just that she drives people crazy in a way.
Yeah, she's at times she's too much, isn't she? She doesn't quite know when to put the lid on something, and she doesn't really know when to stop, and she doesn't really understand about inappropriate behaviour, and but I think it's a kind of product of kind of that real constant terminal loneliness, that when you are with people and you're in a social situation, especially with Jerry and Tom, because she loves being with them, she just wants to talk. She's got nobody to talk to.
Not even a pet?
No. Well, she has got a pet, actually. She's got a cat.
But, okay.
That's another story. We don't see the cat.
I love the fact where she says, that was my second husband. We were married for 2 years.
She only had one husband, but she had another big relationship.
Oh,
okay. She wasn't married.
But she goes, but he left me. And she just says it like that, and you laugh in the theater watching it. But it's so sad, because it's like everyone would want to, and she doesn't really understand herself. That jealousy that springs when she sees the son of this couple that are so nurturing to her.
You see, that's misguided and inappropriate, because, if she really thought it through, flirting with her best friend's son is not the best thing to do. But she's there, she's at the barbecue, she thinks she looks great, and she's not going to flirt with Ken, who she probably should flirt with, but she doesn't want to know about Ken because she thinks he's a slob and that he's let himself go.
She can't stand him, as a matter of fact.
She can't stand him. She doesn't want to...
When he tries to hug her...
Because that's not her image of what she's... she wouldn't want to see herself with somebody like that. She sees herself with Brad Pitt.
Yeah. But then what's so funny, of course, is there's a funeral in the movie, without giving away too much, and Jim Broadbent's brother, who seems to be a walking corpse, she's ready to attach herself to this man who looks like...
Not attach herself romantically. No, I think that's absolutely not what she's thinking. She sees him as a fellow lonely soul.
I see.
And I think the beauty of the film is that you put these two characters together at the end of it, and for some reason she can just talk to him, even though he doesn't say very much back. She meets him when she's at her lowest ebb. She's in such a down... she's got no makeup, she's terrible, she's in a tracksuit, or, she looks terrible. She's had a night of drinking, not slept, got up really early and just gone there. And she meets this man who she doesn't know. Interesting that, isn't it? We sometimes can tell people that we don't know at all far more intimate things about our lives than perhaps our best friends or our own partners or family.
But Mary has no boundaries.
No, she doesn't in the context of the film, no.